Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Track Talk Live. I'm Dwaine. As usual, we have Leighton, Levy, the esteemed journalists. This is the collaboration between the Mr. Analyst channel and Sports Talk Tech, and we really appreciate your support. Leighton, can you believe it? This is our 22nd joint live together.
You're kidding me. I know we've done a few, but not as many.
It's 22nd is the 22nd live beaming out on both channels, and obviously we've done some lives before. So for the fans out there and for the people everywhere, we thank you, and make sure you subscribe to both channels. Drop your comments. We'll be engaging with you throughout. But Leighton, is always good to be in conversation with you. There's a lot to unpack. Devynne Charlton's historic three-peat, equaling her own world record. Lots of key storylines from the World Indoor Championships, and potentially we could even talk a little bit about boys and girls champs in Jamaica tomorrow. But before we dive into any of the specifics, I probably should start by asking you to just give your overall assessment of the World Indoor Championships. You know, what excites you the most, your main takeaways, anything you want to touch on first?
I enjoyed the championships. I mean, normally you go into a world championships, regardless whether it's indoor and outdoors, and you have certain expectations of certain performances. At these championships, my primary focus was on the sprint hurdles from both men and women, the 60 flat, the 800s. Yeah, remember we actually had a discussion about the 60, but the potential of a world record in the women's 60. That never happened, but still, the competition was intense in that of the all women in the final, only one did not go under 710. And from a personal perspective, because I wanted to see what Johnny would have done indoors, is run a PB. And I think I mentioned it on a live that we did, so I'd like to see her at least come away with a PB. And she did exactly that. So, you know, and of course, Brenna Liston running 705 in the semis and in the finals. I thought both women did really, really well. And I thought I was a little disappointed with Jerome Campbell in the 60-meter hurdles, because he ran 748 in, the Razorback Classic. And I thought he would have probably come into these championships and be like a Demario Prince and run a PB or something like that. And I was a little bit disappointed. No, well, not really disappointed about Navaski, in the sense that Navaski is still navigating the space. He's outdoors. He joined what we would probably call the elite ranks at 142. Indoors, he ran 144.75, but he really hustled to run at 144.75. These guys, Blood Canosa and Crespin and company, are running 144s on a regular basis. So there is still a gap between where he is and where these guys are. So a part of it doesn't want to be too hard on him, because I think he's still in development, so to speak. And so I give him a pass on that. I thought the 4x4 men did really well from a Jamaican perspective. I thought those races were really exciting. I was disappointed that the Jamaican women got disqualified, the 4x4 mixed relay team got disqualified. But overall, I thought it was a really great championship. Like 5 or 6 championship records.
Right.
Mondo,
we got a world record from E-Hammer.
Yeah, man. So I enjoyed it. I honestly did. It would probably go down as one of my favorites of the recent indoor championships, primarily because one of the things with me is that I don't just watch for a Jamaican or a Caribbean from a Caribbean perspective. I watch from a track and field perspective. And there were some really entertaining performances at these championships. So yeah, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
No, I agree with you. I think that's important, and the reason why I also ask is because a lot of people sometimes don't focus on the indoor championships, and it's changed tremendously. I think there's a level of excitement. It's a fully professional operation, and there are some athletes that won't show up at a World Indoor Championship, but when you look at the quality of the athletes out there, Mondo, Keely Hutchinson, you name it. There's high class Olympic, everybody. A lot of top class talented athletes with legacies already, and some trying to establish legacies showed up for that. And if we want to talk a little bit about legacy, we got to give the Bahamian a little bit of love. Devynne Charlton. It's intense pressure, Leighton. It is the most competitive event in track and field. The sprint hurdles, whether we're doing 100 or we're indoors doing a 60 meters. And it started off where she had a recall gun in the first round, made it through comfortably in the semifinal, running really well, and to equal our own world record, and in a way separated herself, if we can really say separation exists in a 60-meter hurdle. And she did.
675 to 773 is quite a gap.
Right.
I actually thought that had she not slightly stumbled at the start, she probably would have broken her world record again.
Right.
And from that perspective as well, I was really pleased with Meg running a personal best 782 in back-to-back rounds. And had it not been for that horrible start, and I was talking last night, because in what was about 2 o'clock Polish time, she was getting a massage and everything. And I said to her, had it been for a better start, she probably would have run 770 something, which would have been a significant leap from 798, where she's coming from at the start of the season. So look, the fact that they've left there with personal best performances means that they put the effort out. And I don't think you can ask for anything more than that. I hear people talking about Navaski and Kishian Thompson choking. I would love to choke and run 645, a personal best. So it was, I thought it was quite entertaining. You woke up every morning excited to see what was going to happen next. And that's a hallmark of a championship, when you can't wait to see what happens next in any event. And there were no really boring events. I mean, the women's pole vault, I said, and you know reason why I'm not excited by that any at all.
But it wasn't as bad. As a competition, it was okay. Yeah, the clearance, I agree with you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was competitive. What was it? 485? What was it that one? 485 or 490?
I think it's 485 by Molly Caudry. I'll check for sure, but yeah.
But everything else was competitive. We saw Carolis make Mondo sweat for a little bit in the men's pole vault. We saw an exciting long jump final 2 rounds where the lead changed hands 3 times before Balde just got them with him first roll title and said, "Niggas, please."
It was basically a Portuguese takeover there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, man. It was crazy, and I like that. I like as I was telling Furlan, his agent, Mario, that I know he's probably disappointed that Furlan lost, but I said this is
PB,
what,
though.
this is what competition is supposed to be. The lead was what, 839. Furlan goes. No, it was 833. I don't know what it was, but Furlan goes 839 and looked like he was going to win. Right. I mean, you didn't expect Balde to come. Remember, he was what, 4th at the last championships, I think, European championships. I think he was 4th. And comes here, big 846, and wins. And pretty much what was his last jump. So I enjoyed it. I mean, I would be talking about it with my brethren for days, because there are so many memorable occasions or memorable moments at these World Championships. Lutkenhaus running 144.2 at 17.
Right.
Just this morning, it was last night, I had a conversation with a track and field group, track and field journalists and some coaches here, about, because I've been saying for years that our 800-meter running has been mediocre, to be honest. That's my take. I mean, people might disagree.
I don't think I think you're being mild with that kind of an assessment. We could use other words. Yeah. Because
I saw the coaches were saying that it's difficult to get the kids to run 800. One coach actually said to me that he has a kid who's a 45, 400-meter guy, but he's plagued with constant hamstring injuries. And he's pretty good at 600, but he would never commit to running the 800. So... And as he said, and made me laugh when he said, "Have you ever seen that 800 meter run a hamstring injury?" Which tells you the mindset of these kids. Everybody wants to be Bolt. Everybody wants to be next Oblique Seville or Kishian Thompson, but nobody wants to be the next, Wanyoni, or the next, well, from a Jamaican perspective, certainly, David Rhodesia or even Navas Anderson now and Tyrese Taylor, and Rivaldo Marshall. So it's a mindset change. Like it generated a lot of interesting discussion in that group yesterday. So yeah, there's a lot of talking points coming out of these championships, and that's the hallmark of something that was really memorable.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, just to even riff on that a little bit, I think I think for it to change in a country like Jamaica, it requires. It's going to require some excellence at the top from one of these three guys. But we saw obviously Navaski getting into a major championship final last year. That should have been celebrated. I don't know how that reverberated against other people because Jamaicans tend to be a bit harsh on positions.
Yeah,
but
we're spoiled.
Yeah,
the only way I think it will happen is if Navaski wins at Worlds
so.
and goes to the Olympics and medals at the Olympics and does it over like at 3 major championships. And then because of that, there'll be some kind of momentum building behind that.
Right.
But I remember a few years ago, what's her name again? She won a 3,000 steeplechase at 3,000 at the Commonwealth Games. And I remember doing
not Kenya, no Kenya. Marjorie Hyman, is it Hyman?
No, man, not Hyman. She's American Jamaican.
Oh yeah. Aisha, Aisha. What's her name? I interviewed her many years ago. Yeah.
She was a member of
or something like that. Yeah.
Aisha Pratt. Yeah. And I was thinking that success would have probably encouraged some youngsters to probably get into that event.
Yeah.
But no, it just happened and it just passed because from a cultural standpoint, we have become obsessed with the sprints.
Yeah.
We forget that back in 1948, look, Jamaica's had some history, the 800, for example.
Yeah.
Arthur win 2 silvers, 48, 52. George Carr, 1960 bronze. And that's what's name is Terry Long won a title. And there have been some good Jamaicans thereabouts. Neville Mighton and some other guys who are, just off in the periphery of some of the best in the world. And for some reason, I think from about 1976, when Corey got second in Montreal and won the 200.
Yeah.
And Raymond Stewart becoming the first Jamaican man to break 10 seconds. And then you had, we had to wait, almost 20 years since both did it. We just became really obsessed with, everybody be the fastest man in the world in the 100, 200. And I mean, because look at even the 400, look at what happened to Bert in 1983. First World Championship, Bert wins the gold medal. It took us 40 years before Antonio Watson got back there.
Too if he wasn't injured,
right? Injured, yeah. So, so he set the standard and it took us 40 years to get back there because everybody's so obsessed with the 100 and the 200. Yeah. And there's so many other events in the sport that we can excel at. But for some reason, and I think for the most part, I think a lot of the coaches as well are probably guilty of it, where they're thinking, we have to get somebody who can run 10-1 or 9-9 or something. But yeah.
I think part of that is how you introduce the sport to children, and it's much more nuanced in terms of a mentorship role, and to let them have it as a fun activity. Then they might transition when you get the talent.
Yeah.
But we've discussed this ad nauseum, where I think on any given day...
One final point. Mm-hmm. I think what we probably need to do, you see, and it's something that Kingston College does with their kids when they come into first one. Mm. In every high school in Jamaica that has a sports program, we need to tell the kids about the history of Jamaica's track and field. Mm. We're not doing that. They don't know who Herb McKinley is. They don't know who Arthur Wint is. They don't know who George Carr is. They don't know who George Roden is, who held the world record. They don't know things like Herb became the first man to go under 46 seconds for the 400. Yeah. They have no concept of the history, so they can't connect with it. They don't have anything to inspire them because they are ignorant to it. And I think that's a big part of the problem as well. But yeah, let's move on because we could go on forever about that.
No, I was just going to only bolster that point by saying that it's not a complicated act that we're saying, right? I think if we go up to 800 meters, it would be a relatively easy transition if they take it seriously. Beyond that, it might be complicated, 5,000 meters. The bar is really high up there in terms of getting to that, but it's not impossible. And we've seen running cultures develop across the world and revolutionize. Just to say this, since you made that point, I think one of the massive standouts at this World Indoor Championships was the African shutout. Absolutely no medals in 800 to 3,000 meters on men and women. That has never happened before. And that suggests to you that other people can join the party. We know there's a little bit of a nuance there. There's some athletes that didn't show. There's also some athletes that didn't show up for because they're serving suspension. There are also athletes who didn't get visas. But for whatever it's worth, we would have never said that a year, 2 years ago, certainly not 10 or 15 years ago, after we've seen the takeover from, say, the 1980s with like Ko and Ovette and all those guys, and the African guys just decided that this is their event, we would have never said that. And so the fact that we have Europeans coming back strong, the Americans are now controlling a lot of things too, suggests that if you're serious about it, you can get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things with us as well, I think, with the sprints is something that I think is ingrained in our DNA. Most of our antecedents came from the African West Coast, Ghana, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, all of those areas. That's where most of the sprinters come from. The long distance runners come from East Africa,
right?
Kenya, Ethiopia, all of those places where the altitude makes them thinner and it makes them more oxygen efficient. So I think we need to probably reprogram the DNA a little bit to get some of the guys out here to probably think about some of those distances. Because, look, one of the things that we discussed in that coaches group as well is that there are a couple of 47 guys in Jamaica who will never go faster than 47 or 46.
Right.
They could become very good 800-meter runners, because they could split 49 comfortably and come back in 57 and run 145 or 144. But it's a mindset thing that has to be adjusted and a mindset that has to change as it relates to those events.
Yeah, no, rightly so. Yeah, rightly so. You mentioned Cooper, and we have to talk about him again because it's such a tremendous performance. He's 17 years of age, I think 1793 days. He's the youngest ever to win a medal. Not only forget gold, the youngest ever to win a medal, indoor, outdoor. Unbelievable performance by the kid.
As I said, he has no lungs.
Yeah.
When you watch that race, he took over the race with about 300 to go.
Right.
And pushed all the way home. You never saw any indication whatsoever that he was flagging or that he was struggling. It's just like you saw him in the semis. Remember, he literally bounced 144 in the semis. He's an extraordinary talent, and I'm just hoping that nothing happens to him in the next 3 or 4 years when his body matures and develops and gets stronger, to see what he's able to do outdoors. Right. Because I think, what's the world record indoors? 143.8? What was that the record?
No, it's 142. We remember Josh Howe broke it this year. It's 142.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever the world record is, I think he can get it in a year based on what we see from him now. That's the kind of extraordinary talent that he is. He was just born to run this event because no amount of training. I mean, because we've seen so many different athletes from so many different countries, from so many different circumstances, train hard, and they run 145s or 144 highs, and they were among the best in the world.
Right.
But this kid is 17. His body is still growing. He's still developing. His tendons and ligaments and bone structure are not yet set enough.
Yeah.
Right? They're just about setting now. So he still has some growth to do. He probably has another growth spurt in him as well. It's mind-boggling to think what is possible with him in another 2 to 3 years. It could be him and Wanyoni outdoors battling for titles, because Wanyoni is still young as well.
Yeah, very young,
yeah, there could be battling for titles for the next two cycles.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
crazy.
yeah, just to clarify, world record was 142.50 this year. Josh Howie broke it, or last year, or what? He broke it again this year. He broke it this year.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, because
Yeah,
Wilson
yeah.
Kipketer had that record for I think it was 142.67. But yeah, Howie is great too, and he's not particularly old either. So, but for a kid like this in Cooper Lockton House. It's not even the fact that I just don't even understand how you do this against the big men, right? Because the 800 meters is just not only ability, it's the ability to not get bounced around. It's tactical, and he showcased some things that we haven't seen. It's a level of maturity in the race that's beyond his years for sure.
Yeah, and further to that point, it's not like the 800 is at a mediocre era now, right?
It's not.
The 800 is probably in its best era, period. Because, I mean, outside of Radisha's world record, there are many guys right now are running 144s indoors and 141s outdoors and 142s, you know, and he just comes in and just drop right in the middle of it. And it's not just the middle as well. He's actually closer to the front than he is to the back of that pack in terms of the people who are leading and dominating in this event. So it's extraordinary.
No, yeah, we've seen a revolution in the 141s. Remember, at the Paris Olympics, we had 141 not making the podium by Bryce. What was it? Hoppel? Yeah, Bryce Hoppel.
Yeah.
You have Tuwalda's 141, Sedrati, and you think about the likes of Atawi, and those guys are gonna get into those 141 space. So I think Marco Arop is a 141 man too. So it's a golden era, as you're rightly pointing out. And if there's a golden era in 800 meters on the men's side, I think Keely Hutchinson again showcased why she's probably going to break the world record outdoor. She came here, ran a championship record. This again the second fastest time in the history of the sport to back up her earlier world record that she broke just a month or so ago. Dismissing an Audrey Veru, where if we just took Keely out of the race and we watched Veru's run, we would just stand up. We would be clapping that was one of the great performances that we've seen. But she looked really ordinary against Keely Hutchinson, Leighton.
Listen, the girl was dominant from the gun.
Yeah.
Right? She was Vero, and I'm trying to remember who was just tucked in behind her for like the first 400. And then she just opened up. Yeah. And as the race progressed, the gap became bigger and bigger and bigger. Vero 146.3 that Vero ran.
You mean
no,
156?
156, yeah, 156.3. Right? And she lost by what? A city block, literally. Yeah. And Keely kept going, especially that last 200. Keely kept going away. You know, this girl has put herself now in the position, as long as she stays healthy, to possibly be among the top 2 or 3 800-meter runners, period.
Yeah.
Because what she's been able to do so far, I remember she's still young as well.
Very young.
You know, that she could actually go on and actually challenge that world record outdoors that has stood for 40 odd years now. You know, and, you know, what I like about her, and what I like about that race actually, is that when you looked on her face, especially in the last 250 meters, there was no stress in her. She was completely relaxed. She was running her own race, don't care what one going behind her.
Yeah.
She just doing her thing. Because as far as she was concerned, it was she against the clock. Yeah. And the clock won this time, but you know, eventually she's gonna beat the clock, because that world record, I think her own world record could be on by next year.
She might break the world indoor record again for sure.
Yeah.
As you said that, because look, she ran 154.87 this year. Then she comes back and she runs this time of 155.3, which is the second fastest time now. And Vero has the 156.64. But the thing about Keely too, she came back and ran a leg on that 4x4 and split like 50 and change on the leg. So I don't think she's human right now, Leighton.
Yeah, man, she's in great shape. She's in the shape of her life.
Right.
And it's only unfortunate that England didn't have a stronger team, because I try to remember who opened that relay for them, but they put her at a disadvantage because they were way behind by the time the first leg was over. But had she been in touch, it would have been interesting to see how she challenged the the
American
leaders in that
athlete,
race. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
it's interesting. I don't know. I think you're right on where Keely could end up. I think if she will be favorites on next year, I would imagine, going into the World Championships and then trying to defend her title in LA, and she's what, 24, so she could go for a while. I don't know where exactly the love for the sport is in terms of to stay as long in the sport. Not that I'm not saying she doesn't love the sport, but once you accomplish a couple of Olympic titles, then it's really hard to kind of to stay that long. And our countrywoman Hunter Bell also getting her first global title, winning the 1500 meters. So the Brits are having Trevor Painter and his group there are having a really good distance time. Yeah.
Yeah, really good. I mean, performance from the English standouts. They won all 3 middle distance / long distance events. So they were extremely happy, and rightfully so. I think they've been, other than the Americans, I think they've been right there with the best in the world and consistently proving that. Hunter Bell, of course, you mentioned Keely. What's the other girl's name? Why is it I can't remember anybody's name these days? But they have hit upon a formula that works.
Right.
And they're tweaking it as time goes by and getting better with it as well. Increasing in speed, endurance, better strategies, tactics depending on who's in the race. They're probably right now kind of similar to that era back when Steve Ovett, Coe and Cram were dominating the world. So that's probably where they are now in terms of what they're doing in terms of those distances. Yeah.
No, you're right. And they have a couple of other people coming up, I imagine, Isabella Buffy, and there's some other people. Gemma Reeky's still around, even though she may not be at her very best still. But yeah, it was a high-level competition there, Yeah. I don't know if we got some comments here. No. Yeah, nothing really. I think I saw you have a new video with Donovan Bailey. I think Dynamic is saying you should tag him into the video for some.
I forgot to do that today. Listen, I was so upset about the video that I didn't get a chance to put up last night that I was just and I'm tired. I haven't slept since Saturday night, so I just forgot. But you know what event the pentathlon with Anna Hall and Doctor. That 800 that Anna Hall ran on that final event was incredible. She had to win by 7.5 or 7.3 seconds.
She didn't quite do it, but I thought it was a suicidal run, but it turned out not to be.
Yeah, man. She was, listen, it's not easy after do so many events to come out there and push like that. What she ran, 206?
Yeah, I think I'll check it again. I think it was something like that.
It was like 206 because Doctor ran 212 something. But she was just within the window to hold on to the title. But Anna Hall is an extraordinary human being.
Yeah.
To push like that for the 800.
206.32. Yeah.
Yeah, incredible performance. And that was an event that I truly enjoyed as well because I was paying keen attention to see whether or not when I heard that Anna had to beat Doctor by 7+ seconds, I was like, okay, let's see what she can do. And then she just took off like a bat out of hell.
She did enough to kind of surpass the second place because I think she in third place going into the last event. If I'm not mistaken?
Think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that was incredible as well. I enjoyed that as well, just because as the race went on, you saw the gap widening and Doctor was fading. And Hall is pushing and the gap is widening. And I'm like, that looked like about 7 seconds to the but it was just within the window that allowed her to hold on to that time. That was extraordinary. I like that as well. That was really impressive. I mean, she might have ended up with a silver, but that was a gold medal performance.
No, certainly. I think she's a top class athlete. I think potentially I don't know if she really pushed last year, if we're being honest, getting very close to that Jackie Joyner Kersey world record, but she's just still far away from it, and I'm not quite sure if she can get it because the world record is just way out there. But if anybody can do it right now, it looks like she could.
Absolutely.
What's Dynamic saying here? He's saying, I want to thank us for these kind of shows. Yeah, you're welcome.
We're trying our best to bring the sport back to where in my lifetime it used to be, where it was one of the premier sports across the globe. Listen, I'm going to age myself again here. When I was growing up, there was a show on TV called ABC Wild World of Sports. And featured heavily in those shows was track and field. Houston McTeer, Steve Williams, Donald Quarry, Sylvia Leonard. Trying to remember some of the other guys who were running in that period. I used to look when there was not track and field featured in that show. It was like a what do you call it? It was a show with multiple sports. There were
like motor racing and all that stuff. Right?
And everything. And if there was no track and field, I'd be disappointed. Albeit that I did enjoy them showing me some of the Formula One back in the day, with Nelson Piquet and Alan Prost and guys. And so it was. Those were the days when track and field had pride of place, especially in the United States, but not so much these days, and it's kind of disappointing to me for that. But so we try our best. So thank you for that. Really appreciate that. That you feel that way. It really means something.
Yeah. No, I mean it's the sport is. We can opine on this forever. I think it's one of the biggest downfall, I think, of Sepko's legacy. I mean, he's probably done a lot of stuff and people might be critical, and I'm ultra critical. But as an athlete who was at the top of his game, I just thought that when he went to World Athletics, there was going to be a bigger effort to really sell the sport in markets where it would just get bigger. Because it shouldn't be something that you have to be navigating very hard to go after. And I think the challenge for World Athletics is to think about the sport outside of the Olympic cycle, because in America, that's all we see, the Olympic cycle. There is not one day of this World Championship, Leighton, that was shown live on television here. If you didn't have Peacock subscription, there was no way you're going to see it. And they were showing a number of nonsense on TV. You just stick it on TV and leave it, it probably would have worked. But,
I them, what's that thing where they throw them thing at the hole? I mean, God, my God, that. Well, anyway, but here's the thing that I find. Not croquet. But they toss the beanbag into the hole. I'm trying corn
or something like
corn husking or some something food like that. Here's the thing that I don't understand. I hear some people in the US complain that track and field meets are too long. Diamond League meets are 2 hours long. That's shorter than most NFL games.
Yeah.
And NFL games are stop-start. What I think would help track and field from an American perspective is tightening the schedule in a way. And I don't believe in eliminating field events. Yeah. It might not have as many fans as the track events, but they do have fans. You can have it where the schedule allows for as one event. Like, for example, there's a meet at the stadium on Saturday, where for the most part, as one event was complete, there was another event on the track. So there's no lag time in between. So you're engaged constantly. And if you're while the track is setting up, you can always switch. And I do it now, that the World Championship, switch to the field events and catch up with the field events, go back to the track and then come back to the field. So there's constant activity going on. And I mean, I'm a purist, so maybe I'm blind to what people are not seeing for the sport. But for me, track and field is the purest of sport. It's who can run the fastest, who can jump the highest, who can jump the longest. There are other sports that have other nuance in terms of the skill sets. But if you put an NFL athlete on a track with a sprinter, they're going to lose. Yeah. If you put a basketball player up against a high jumper, they will lose. Yeah. Because basketballers, them jump. I mean, the basketballers are 6'10", they're 6'9". The basket is 10 foot. The guys who do high jump can clear the basketball players easily, because if you're 6'9", where most of these guys start warming up at. So there is this thing to overlook what track and field really means in terms of the human condition that I think a lot of people have started to take for granted. And I think it's unfortunate.
Yeah, the thing I always tell people about track and field is it has all the elements that every other great sport that you might come to love requires, right? Whether if it's an endurance event, whether if it's strength or speed or power, those combination. But I agree with his comments. It's like he says field events are the most exciting thing in track and field. I don't disagree with that, because I think, and also actually I think the Diamond League product is actually working, Leighton. If we're being honest with yourself, as a tight product, they move from, you just need the right crews on it, the right camera angles, and you move from long jump, triple, shot put, discus, javelin, you name it. It's just going in between while you set up another thing on the track, and it's beautiful to watch if you go to a track and field event.
Listen, man, in high school at lunchtime, you know what we used to do?
Throw
In the
stones,
hall at the car. In the school at DC, there's a big hall where we used to have lunch and devotion and everything. And what we used to do at lunchtime, there was a badminton court, and we used the outer line as the launching board. And so we run up and hop, step, and jump, and use tape and mark. And then for the entire lunchtime is about who can go the farthest in the triple jump. That's what field events are. No? It's about who can get the best out of each other. And long jump is the same thing. We just spoke about the long jump at the World Indoors, where the lead changed hands 3 times in the last 2 rounds. And it's exciting because
it is.
Look at Perez Hernandez, for example, with Yulimar, who was lurking in the background.
That was exciting.
Yeah, that was pretty cool too. I mean, I think a lot of times this is the people who run media in America denigrate sports because of what they like and what they don't like. Because I don't
when
see
the Olympics come, they're gonna just like zone in on it. So it's not like they don't realize it works. They just think it's a 4-year project and not
which is ridiculous.
Every year project, which is a ridiculous point. Sultan Cardio, is that Sultan? We're saying about the shot put thing. I agree on this. Last year at Drake Relays, when Ryan Krause, it was at Drake, I think, last year. Yeah, they start that shot put league. I like the style that they did. They just basically had barriers and you had to clear the barrier. They were measuring the distance itself, but if you brought people who didn't understand track and field or understand what 22 meters is in shot put versus 21 or 20, at least they saw people trying to get over a mark and they would eliminate people. I thought that was an innovative kind of a thing. I don't know if they're doing I think they call it the World Shot Put League. I don't know if they're doing it again this year, but that was exciting in terms of as a spectacle. So I think you need things like that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and taking out the marks, the distances does help. Because especially in America, where you guys are still using feet and inches, which to me,
I don't understand that in track and field.
But I hear them talking about 15 feet, 2 3/4 inches. I'm like, what is that?
I can't even process it. I don't.
It's weird, man. So taking away that element of it and just putting the marker out there and somebody trying to beat that marker I think is a great idea. So yeah.
No, but. Because if you think about it, like, let's be honest, yesterday in the long jump, if from a competitive standpoint, it was a great spectacle. But if we talk to me and you and most people who are purists of the thing, we're like, this is ordinary jumping. Like, we don't want to see a long jump being won by like 840. We want to see 850 and 60 and beyond. But it doesn't matter in that context if you just want to get new fans into the sport. They're just going to see the lead changing, someone under pressure, getting back the lead, and the way in which it was won by the Portuguese athlete on both sides, women and men. I think that's good for the sport, Yeah,
absolutely.
Or you're winning the javelin on a last minute throw we've seen in the Olympics before. That's the kind of thing you want. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think doesn't Atlas do something similar as well, where they don't really focus on the distance, but they just look at the markers.
When they did the long jump in Times Square this year, right? Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's what they did when they were trying to bring it out there. I thought that was innovative. I don't know how people process that stuff, but I don't care how you get people into track and field. I think that's what we need. As a purist, we'll calculate the distance and we'll say, actually 15 meters in a triple jump is high bar as opposed to 13, but it doesn't matter to a youngster getting into the track, Objectivities in the house. It's like track events, especially the 100, is still about speed, and the public loves speed, hence motorsports,
agreed,
racing, etc. No, I don't disagree with that. Yeah, yeah.
100%.
But I also think we have a problem explaining the distances or performances to people. Like how when someone clears 2 meters 45 versus 230 or so in the high jump, it's a tough sell to make, you know. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but I understand that part, and especially when people, to me, inexplicably don't understand the simplicity of track and field. It's
Right.
it's not that hard to understand, So
All right. Well, Leighton, I don't want to keep you because I know you weren't resting much. Since you didn't get a chance to put out your champs preview video, maybe give us a sense of something out of that if you wanted to touch on that.
Well, look, champs is gonna come down. All right, let me put it this way. I think Casey wins champs.
Yeah, I agree.
I think JC is second. I think Calabar holds on to third, with Excelsior and probably Homewood somewhere in that region. For the girls, Edwin Allen wins the title again this year because I think Hyder has had some problems financially. So I think they're sending a smaller team to champs this year, which makes them vulnerable to Homewood.
Right.
And so they might finish third.
Can Immaculate get into top 5?
That's what I'm about to say. I think Immaculate had 408 points at corporate champs. And the school of thought is that for corporate champs, the teams usually get half those points for boys and girls championships. If Immaculate gets 204 points, certainly they're top 4. And then probably Excelsior gets into for the top 5. The matchups, though, are what we were talking about on the spoiled podcast last night. There are so many. There's Emil Higgins versus Kai Kelly in class 2 for the 100 and 200. There is Shania Douglas versus Alex Henry from Trinidad and Tobago, who's at Edwin Allen. The boys class 100 is going to be a banger. Naran Wade from Calabar, Sanjay Seymour from William Nib, Riquelme Reed from Excelsior, possibly Jamal Stevenson from Calabar, who picked up an injury at character trials. I'm hoping it's not something serious that he can recover. And there's so many intriguing battles that are going to be on display at champs across all of the classes, because I think when I look at how deep Edwin Allen is this year, it's remarkable. I was looking at some of the best performances across the classes this year for the girls. And there's, I think, the 400s class 2. I think 5 of the 7 fastest times are run by Edwin Allen athletes. It's madness, yeah? So, so it's going to be, I think it's going to be really exciting. Is the downside to it for me is that because of the hurricane last year, teams like Stets, teams like Rossi's,
right,
maybe even Holland outside on Shania Douglas are going to be not. I mean, what's her name? Mount Alvernia has a pretty good team as well. They might not be able to send their full contingents to champs, which makes them a little bit weaker. But still, I think the battle for the top places is going to be very, very interesting and keenly contested. I think Edwin Allen runs away with this, though, because of their depth. There are 2 guys as well from Edwin Allen in the 800 class 1. Malik, Joel Morgan and Malik Anderson. One run 150.05, the other one run 150.15 at the character trials last week. If they get going, maybe we could see 149, because there's this kid from where I'm coming from. I have his name right here, from JC, Carlos Bryson Keynes, who's run 151.25 this year. So that could be a keen battle to look for as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of individual battles, a lot of head-to-head rivalries. The Kai Kelly battle against Emil is going to be something, because Emil destroyed him at corporate champs, and maybe Kai Kelly looks like it's time for him to get back, and get back some skin, back at champs. So I think
what do you think about class 2 records in Natrice East? Can she?
Oh, Natrice East. There's a girl from Edwin Island called Etienne.
Yeah.
It
I saw a
is
couple
faster. So she might not win the 100, but I think Natrice probably has the advantage over the 200, but still it's going to be keen because Etienne, both of them have experience of winning at character games.
Yeah.
But Etienne, a talented little sprinter, and I think she's going to be a handful for Natrice East. And I think, let me just pull up, if I can pull up my notes for a second, because there are two kids in class 3, 4, Woolmers. Those two boys are so fast. And I think them and this youth from KC, I was going to bed because there are a lot of things going to my head right now. But I'm telling you, if you miss champs this year, you could miss some really intense battles. I have a friend who I had a conversation with earlier last week, where he believes that Alex Henry is going to beat Shania Douglas in the 100. Alex Henry beat her at the JC meet to start the season.
Yeah, she beat her, but she wasn't. Yeah, that was before she was informed, though. But I don't know.
Yeah. But Natoya has gone to 11.06 and 22.58. I think if she's not too tired, because I think she's going to be doubling, and she might end up running relays as well. That Brianna Williams' national record of 22.50 that was set in Tampere in 2018 could go. And it's quite possible, based on what Coach Smythe said, that Alana Reed's 10.92 could go as well. Yeah, he was saying she can run 10.8. And knowing him, and in conversations that I have with him, he is not somebody you get the impression who says these things lightly.
Right.
And based on what I saw at character trials, Maria Ross as well, dude. Yeah, that's a good name to bring up. Yeah. We could see Shania Douglas do some significant things, especially with the fact that there's a very strong rumor circulating for the last 2 seasons that she's going to go pro at the end of the season. So, it's champs is going to be wild.
Yeah, there's a couple comments that came in earlier. I just want to acknowledge them on your channel. I think this Cara Young was saying she's enjoying the show. She also saw the Krauser video. Marvin was saying that Americans just are not into track and field as much as Jamaicans. I don't know about that. I think that's probably true. There's hegemonic sports in the States but there's also these sports that are just popping up all the time. Love volleyball. So the market is still big enough to accommodate a lot of that stuff. What is this over here? Objectivity says he's not sure about buying the champs thing. I already purchased my subscription, but I agree with him. We couldn't really watch Gibson Leighton. It kept sticking all the time.
Yeah, I heard that a lot.
Yeah, I hope they don't have that problem again, because otherwise I want my $40 back or whatever I pay.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to the stadium tomorrow. I'm going to try to get this flu one last chance to go away. So I'm going to load up some farmer food tonight and some additional vitamin C. I'm going to champs on Wednesday though, because I have no intention of missing those hundreds, because they are going to be really crazy. Yeah, man. What was that? Go back, put that back again.
Dynamics was saying he didn't realize about the 22.4. We touched on that on about 2 lives a couple nights ago.
Yeah,
too, but maybe.
Yeah, man. She ran 22.4 in April that year.
Yeah.
And of course, we saw what she did that summer. So, and listen, the thing with the lane on the weekend, a lot of people are missing 2 things. One, that she's not wearing Adidas spikes. She's not signed to Adidas, but she's found some comfort in those spikes, because the Puma spikes were apparently giving her an issue with the Achilles issue that she has. And she's not the only person, because I've spoken to other athletes who've had similar concerns about the spikes. And the key thing that I want people to note here, and this is in the context of many people, including myself, believing that she could not get back to the level where she was in 2021. And to a degree, I still believe that to be true. But when you watch the 200 the other night, she was at maybe 85, 90%. She wasn't flat out. She was not flat out, which is scary considering that 22.61 is a pretty good time for a first run for somebody who has not run this event in almost 3 years.
In March.
And it run into in March. So I'm eager to see what she does as the season unfolds. I think I'm get the feeling that that depending on what happens between now and say May, end of May, they might even be thinking Commonwealth Games. Maybe. I mean, remember she's a defending champion there as well.
Titles, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be nice to see her come back. As I said before, and I've said it repeatedly, I would love to see her end her career on her own terms. And right now, she looks like she's ready to do that because the 60s weren't bad. My information is that she's been blowing through the training cycles pretty easily. And based on the evidence of the races that we've seen her run, that 22.6 on the weekend was very encouraging indeed. So, yeah, I'm eager to see Elaine go out there and be Elaine again for at least for as long as she can. About a year or two, maybe even 3 years, because she hasn't raced for technically 3 years. So her body's not as beat up as it used to be.
Yeah.
So as it could have been, I should say. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. I mean, another thing I really, really excited about, it was Karika Hill's 22.80.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, she's a sprint hurdler. Yeah, but 22.80 is pretty good as well. So yeah, the athletes who moved in the last season are finding success in their new camps now. That's very encouraging indeed. So yeah, looking forward to this season for several reasons. And Elaine, Karika Hill, Brenna Williams coming back. So many things to look forward to. Of course, want to see what Jordan Anthony does on the circuit. I'm hoping that he ends up in a clash with like an Oblique Seville and a Brian Levelle and a Kishian Thompson. That I would not be missing. So yeah, that's kind of thing I'm looking forward to seeing outdoors this year. So I'm looking forward to the season.
Should be fabulous. Dr. Storytell on your channel. Okay, I guess the chat already handled this. They're asking, how can you see champs from other Caribbean countries? You gotta subscribe to One Spot, which is what we do.
Media.
I do that, yeah. Hopefully it's gonna work well. But it's, I'm not here to advertise for Television Jamaica. But that's exactly what you have to do. I think Dynamic had a question for us to close out, and I can't remember. It's like, what would you pick for your best performance for World Indoors? I was thinking about that. Yeah.
Whoa.
I have a few. But
yeah.
I can rewind and think about this. Here's what I would say. I think three-peat from Charlton is a highlight. E-Hammer breaking the world record that Ashton Eaton did 12 years ago. Also, we have to say Mondor, this is his 4th World Indoor title, also championship record. That's something special. I mean, if I have to give an honorable mention, even to Walsh in the shot put, coming back to do this how many years later.
His 4th title too.
Exactly. So some of that stuff excited me. Cooper, obviously, Lockton House breaking barriers.
Listen, man, as I said before, as we said at the top, there are so many memorable moments from these World Championships. You can't really pick one. I mean, personally, I love the fact that Devynne, because to me now, she's the indoor GOAT. Huh?
Right. Yeah, I think so.
She owns the world record, runs it in 2 consecutive championships, wins the first athlete to win 3 straight. And she could have broken it had she got a better start, if she didn't have that little stumble at the start.
Yeah. So
that for me was one of the more outstanding performances as well. I think, look, it's so many. I mean, Lotcan House for me, my jaw is still on the floor about that. And Keeley was outstanding. It were so many. It was a really enjoyable championship for me, and there are so many things that really resonated well with me as well.
Yeah. There's a question here about Alana Reed's race from early 80s on your channel.
Just run 22.
It was
run 22.8, I think, as well.
Yeah, was it? I think it was win-aided, right? Was it? If I can't remember.
I think it was win-aided, but she looked good for 150.
Yeah. Was that the race Kevona Davis was in?
Yeah, she blew Kevona out of the. But this was Kevona's race in like what? 3 years.
Yeah.
When did Julian graduate from Texas? Was it 2020? 2023?
Yeah, 2 years ago, not last year, the year before, I think. Was it?
Yeah. So Kevona has not run since 2023. because she left Texas and went up to Maryland to train with Coach Joe Lee, but she didn't last long there. Bullis, she went up to
at Bullis,
and then she came to Jamaica. So this is not particularly worried about her performance. She looked decent for the first 120, and then wasn't there anymore because you haven't raced that distance in a while. So yeah, but Alana looked really good. I think she's back with Corey Bennett, so maybe good things for her this year. Maybe she finally gets faster than that 1092 that she ran 2 years ago.
Right.
So yeah.
Hopefully. What is clips? This is what is the 4x1 order that makes the most sense? He has Level, Kishane, Akeem, Oblique.
I would say I would actually have it in that order.
So not have Akeem starting.
Akeem starts to Kishane, to Brian Level, to Oblique.
Yeah.
Remember, I remember last year somebody was saying to me, "Oh, Level can't run the curves." 1964 says otherwise.
He has to run the curve in my book, but
yeah. So I would make Akeem start. He's probably the best starter of the lot, and even if there's a deficit at the first exchange, Kishane will overhaul that. Gets it to Brian Level, who will smoke anybody on the third leg, and give it to Oblique, and it's done. Because there's nobody running down Oblique Seville. Yeah. That's that team that I think can actually challenge the existing world record of 36-4. So yeah, that would be my order. Yeah.
They just need to have a good relay camp. And I don't mean it doesn't all have to be camp alone. And you have to do these fun things, get them a concert ticket to something, fly them out. The J3s have to have better management of their athletes. Get them to the Champions League final. Have fun, develop a rapport. I'm sure they'll show up for some relay camps.
Build chemistry. That was what that team with Bowles and Michael Frater and Asafa Paul and Johan Blake had, and Nesta Carter. Those guys hung out together. They were like a clique when they were on tour. So they had an understanding of each other. They knew each other very well. They were actually friends for the most part. These guys are in different bubbles, so there is not that understanding. So I think, a camp to have them kind of connect in that real way. Because even if you look at when Oblique won at the World Championships last year, you had a little, I think it's like a high five with Kishane. There was no brotherhood, so to speak, between them, So, look, Level on the first leg is an option, but I think Akeem on the first leg would work better. Because the first leg, then, once you get that out of the way, you have 3 other legs to then deal with. The first leg is always going to be mediocre. Nesta Carter never ran more than maybe 10-1 on an opening leg, but he was among the leaders and gave it to Frater or whoever was on the backstretch at the time. And then Frater would do his thing on the backstretch, get to Blake or Asafa. Because you realize one of the things that I've always said, during that era, Jamaica never ran its best 4x1 team,
Yeah.
Because either Asafa was out, Asafa was out most of the time with injury or whatever. But a team with, for example, Nesta, Asafa, Bolt and Blake, if they had put that team together more than once, that work could be like 36-5. 36-5, easy. Because but they never managed to put together that team. I think it was only Michael was always on the backstretch.
Yeah.
But if they had said, for example,
in Beijing,
in 2008, it was Nesta to Michael,
but that record is gone now.
To Bolt to Asafa. Yeah. Had they had a team with say Nesta to Asafa to Blake to Usain, the record would be lower than it is now.
Yeah. Although admittedly, I think they used to do some conservative exchange. But Leighton, I know you gotta go because I don't want you to get in trouble with your wife. The last thing I'll say, just to leave on a fun note, thanks everyone for coming through. what can't Mondo do? Now he's composing the song for the Ultimate Championship, so we'll have to sing and dance to Mondo in the in September.
I hear he's not a bad musician, I don't know.
No, I heard this music. I saw the initial thing from it, and I thought it was like I thought it was AI at first, but it wasn't. It was him doing some kind of a jam session. So I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I know you're going to be busy this week, Leighton. We'll try and see if we can snatch Leighton sometime in the week to discuss some champs, but he'll be probably staked out in the stadium late at night. So I don't know. You got to catch him on his channel for that. Yeah.
Yeah, Riverside just responded to me.
Okay. Well, hopefully it's good news.
Yeah, we're going to look it over now and see what them say. But anyway, guys, it was nice being here as usual. I'm going to try and do some champs updates during the course of the week. And so you can probably find some of that on my channel. Sometimes shorts, sometimes full videos, and then we talk more maybe at the end of the week or during, because I have some interviews possibly lining up during the course of the week as well. I'm waiting to get confirmation for one. I've confirmed one for Thursday morning. That I think people will like once it. I'm not going to say anything about it until it's done. Because Dwaine, I've actually scheduled before the deal.
And the people don't show up, so
so
until it's recorded, you can't talk about it.
Not saying a word. Anyway, guys, have a good night, huh?
All right, everyone, take care. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Cool.